Hello, I'm Carla Lavender and I am a Procurement Reform Senior Manager in Welsh Government. The purpose of this presentation is to highlight the changes that are taking place in the public procurement legislative landscape and what steps are being taken to prepare those affected by them. Through this presentation, I will provide a brief overview of the new procurement-related legislation that will impact public procurement activities in Wales. These reforms will help public sector organisations to maximise positive impact through their procurements, and we will look at how these impacts will benefit suppliers to the Welsh public sector. We will look at the plans that are underway to ensure Welsh stakeholders are fully prepared for these new laws so they can maximise the potential benefits, and we will consider what you as a business can do to prepare. I'll also highlight some of the other sources of information that provide more details on this particular subject. As I've already mentioned, the legislation on public procurement in Wales is changing. The Public Contract Regulations 2015, which currently regulates the way we procure public contracts, is being replaced by the Procurement Act, or Bill as it is at the moment. A key driver in the Welsh Minister's decision to join the UK Government's Procurement Bill was to ensure consistency, continuity and certainty for Welsh businesses and SMEs. A consistent approach to procurement will help to ensure continuity for suppliers and enable cross-border business with England to largely continue without confusion or potential additional costs for users. This bill is currently going through the final stages in Parliament, and the new regime is expected to commence in October 2024. Much of what is done by public procurement departments on a day-to-day basis will look and feel quite familiar under the new Procurement Act. However, there are some quite significant changes being made, and for us in Wales, the procurement reforms extend beyond the Procurement Bill. So when we talk about procurement reform in Wales, it encompasses the simpler, flexible and more transparent system set out in the Procurement Bill, which will allow for more focus on social value and help reduce barriers to entry for smaller businesses and social enterprises. It will lay out new rules and procedures for public sector authorities when selecting suppliers and awarding contracts with a value above certain thresholds. It will also make provisions for some smaller, below-threshold contracts. The Social Partnership and Public Procurement Wales Act 2023 includes socially responsible procurement duties. These are about making social, economic, environmental and cultural well-being central to the way we do business. For suppliers, this means that there will be more emphasis on achieving well-being outcomes in public procurement. The Act also requires good contract management, especially in construction and outsourcing contracts. So socially responsible public procurement will be required throughout supply chains and not only with first-tier suppliers and contractors. And also the provisions in the Health Service Procurement Wales Bill, which relate to the operational process of procuring health services in Wales and ensures that the procurement of NHS healthcare services is undertaken on a level playing field with England. And all of these will be viewed through the lens of the Wellbeing of Future Generations Wales Act, which outlines the 5 ways of working that public bodies in Wales must follow to fulfil their duty to carry out sustainable development. Some of the key differences and points of note for Wales in the bill compared with the existing legislation are: Welsh contracting authorities will have to give regard to the Wales Procurement Policy Statement, which sets out the strategic vision for public sector procurement in Wales. This obligation on Welsh contracting authorities will help to ensure that local priorities in Wales are reflected in public procurements and that social value is delivered through wellbeing impacts. Access to detailed information will give Welsh contracting authorities the data they need to collaborate better, drive value for money, and identify and monitor social value in their procurements. Greater transparency of procurement pipelines will increase visibility of upcoming work in Wales and its local regions, allowing businesses more time to prepare. This will help to lift some of the barriers that prevent small Welsh businesses from bidding for public contracts. Public service mutuals in Wales will have improved opportunities to establish themselves effectively, as the current maximum contract duration will be increased from a 3-year period to 5 years. Welsh contracting authorities will, under certain circumstances, be required to set and publish at least 3 key performance indicators in respect of a contract. Thereafter, at least once a year, performance against those KPIs will be assessed by the Welsh contracting authorities and the results published. Also, there will be procurement oversight provisions that give Welsh ministers powers to investigate Welsh contracting authorities' compliance with requirements under the new legislation in Wales. A few of the benefits for suppliers were covered in the previous slide, but this new regime will also, at various points in the procurement life cycle, enable and require practices that will benefit suppliers, including potential new entrants to the market. For example, a new duty on contracting authorities to have regard to barriers faced by SMEs and to consider what can be done to overcome them. For example, considering whether the requirements being asked for are proportionate to the contract, that bidding times are realistic, bearing in mind that some businesses don't have dedicated bidding teams, and whether there is a diverse representation of businesses in pre-market engagement to make sure a contracting authority is reaching a wide range of suppliers. The improved transparency measures mean that suppliers will see all opportunities, including pipelines of future opportunities for contracts over 2 million, giving suppliers more time to gear up to deliver either as a prime contractor, member of consortia, or subcontractor in the supply chain. The improved prompt payment rules will help ensure suppliers are paid on time. The 30-day payment terms will apply through public sector supply chains, regardless of whether they are written into the contract. Prime contractors who may be working with smaller businesses in supply chains will be required to follow this rule, thus changing payment behaviours in complex public sector supply chains. Under the new competitive, flexible procedure, a public sector authority will be able to design their own procurement process, which is particularly beneficial for complex, high-tech or innovative solutions. Public sector organisations will have the ability to include in their bids components that draw on the strengths of new and specialist entrants to the market, and to negotiate and innovate to get the best from the private, charity and social enterprise sectors. Suppliers should engage with Business Wales and the relevant contracting authority if they have any queries regarding any specific current or future public contracts. And the contact details for Business Wales will be included at the end of this presentation. These changes to procurement legislation will require cultural changes across the Welsh public sector that can be encouraged through effective learning and development, sharing commercial ideas and collaborating to maximise benefit from the marketplace. To ensure that the flexibilities within the procurement bill are used to their full potential and the changes in our procurement landscape are understood in Wales, the Welsh Government and UK Government are developing an extensive range of training products for contracting authorities. The UK Government's portfolio of training is tailored to different audiences, from those who simply need an overview of the changes through to more detailed and specific training for procurement practitioners in contracting authorities. Welsh Government will supplement UK Government's training with bilingual learning that focuses on priority areas of interest through a Welsh lens. UK Government's knowledge drops are aimed at everyone, including non-commercial leaders, suppliers and others who need a general level of awareness of the new rules. These are free, on-demand videos up to 60 minutes long that provide an overview of changes to the procurement regulations. They will be tailored to contracting authorities, suppliers, voluntary community or social enterprise organisations, VCSEs, and small medium enterprises, SMEs. Alongside these knowledge drops, there will be some short 5-minute summary films that provide a high-level overview for senior leaders and suppliers. The UK Government is launching these knowledge drops in November 2023. Welsh Government has and will continue to share information through written guidance, webinars, lunch and learn events and conferences to ensure that Welsh stakeholders are kept informed of the procurement reforms in Wales. To ensure that commercial and procurement staff in the public sector are trained and equipped to operate confidently under the new regime, Welsh contracting authorities will have access to focused e-learning and deep dive training. E-learning is the core training product designed to give public sector contracting authorities a comprehensive grounding of knowledge and understanding of how the regulation changes will impact their public procurement activities. Welsh Government will supplement UK Government's e-learning modules with bilingual training that focuses on key areas of interest highlighted by Welsh public sector stakeholders, including links to the Social Partnership and Public Procurement Wales Act, and the impact of the Health Service Procurement Wales Bill on procurement activities in Wales. The deep dives will provide more intensive training for those in the public sector who need to become experts in operating the new regime. This is an intensive 3 consecutive day course of interactive instructor-led virtual classes in small cohorts. To ensure consistency, UK Government will share its deep dive training materials with Welsh Government, and we will provide a bilingual offering to Welsh contracting authorities. This training will help Welsh contracting authorities to ensure that suppliers can realise the potential benefits that these procurement reforms offer. So how can you prepare for these changes? You can view UK Government knowledge drop videos when they're launched in November 2023 and familiarise yourself with some of the key elements of the bill and the Act, such as the Procurement Bill. Look at the circumstances in which a supplier may be excluded from a procurement, including serious misconduct, unacceptably poor performance or other circumstances. The list of mandatory and discretionary exclusion grounds are covered under Schedules 6 and 7 of the Procurement Bill. And look at the circumstances that may lead to a supplier being entered onto a public debarment list. These are covered under Section 62 of the Bill. In terms of the Social Partnership and Public Procurement Wales Act, familiarise yourself with the socially responsible procurement duties within Chapter 2 of the Act. Also included in this section of the Act are some specific provisions for major construction contracts and for outsourcing services contracts. And carry out due diligence checks in your supply chains to ensure that they're sustainable and ethical. More information about procurement reforms will also be available in Welsh Government and UK Government newsletter articles and through various lunch and learn events, webinars and conferences. If you want to register to receive one or both of these newsletters, the details are included on the screen. Business Wales provides a wide spectrum of support for Welsh businesses, and within that portfolio they provide a procurement awareness and training to help businesses compete. We have an array of information available on Celta Wales platform, ranging from procurement reform guidance notes to presentations and webinar recordings to prepare stakeholders for the changes. UK Government also has on its website a Transforming Public Procurement page that hosts a range of information about their programme, including a recording from their webinar series, details of their learning and development package and guidance. There are also other sources of information, such as legal commentaries and procurement blogs, all of which are available on the internet. If you would like to contact the Welsh Government's Procurement Reform team, please use the email address on the screen. And thank you for taking the time to listen.